Good morning, I'm Roland Martin. Today on News One Now, dash cam video in Chicago shows a police officer gunning down Laquan McDonald 16 times. It has led to uproar in Chicago. We'll get an update from the ground as protesters took to the streets. And also, why did it take so long for prosecutors to move on this cop? Also in Chicago, police superintendent recommends firing the officer who killed Rekia Boyd. The trial that no one seems to be talking about. More updates from Oklahoma City on the trial of Daniel Holtzclaw, who was accused of raping 13 black women, and at least 2 suspects are in custody after 5 Black Lives Matter protesters were shot during a demonstration in Minneapolis. For Jamar Clark, we'll talk to the local NAACP president. Plus, our artist of the day, legendary saxophonist Ronnie Laws. We'll talk about his latest CD, Solo. News One Now starts right now. Finally, after 13 months, officials in Chicago released a video, a dash cam video showing the shooting death of 17-year-old Laquan McDonald. As you might recall, Chicago fought vigorously for this video not to be released and shown to the public. And when a judge last week ordered the video to be released, all of a sudden, Cook County State's Attorney Anita Alvarez decided to charge Jason Van Dyke with first-degree murder in the death of Laquan McDonald. This is the first time in history a Chicago police officer has ever been charged with first-degree murder. We're going to show you the actual tape. Again, warning, Laquan McDonald was shot and killed, shot 16 times in the video. And so here is the video that has folks in Chicago in an uproar. Of course, this video starts here. This is actually the officer coming on the scene. You see Laquan McDonald there. He had a knife in his right hand. You had more than 5 officers on the scene. They chose to, you see them talking to him. All of a sudden, you see the smoke there. Gun is fired. Van Dyke fired 16 times. The other officers, 5 other officers on the scenes, not a single one chose to fire their weapon. Yesterday, Cook County State's Attorney Anita Alvarez says there's no excuse for this excessive force.
We have charged Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke with first-degree murder in the connection of the shooting death of Laquan McDonald. Laquan McDonald was 17 years old when he was shot and killed by the defendant on October 20th, 2014 at approximately 9:47 p.m. on the city's southwest side. Investigators recovered video from a local business that showed Laquan walking away from the initial officers at 40th Street. Our investigation has determined that Officer Van Dyke was on the scene for less than 30 seconds before he started shooting. In addition to the fact that all evidence indicates that he began shooting approximately 6 seconds after getting out of his vehicle. An analysis of the video establishes that 14 to 15 seconds passed from the time the defendant fired his first shot to clear visual evidence of a final shot. For approximately 13 of those seconds, Laquan was lying on the ground. Of the 8 or more officers on the scene, it was only the defendant who fired his weapon. It is my determination that this defendant's actions of shooting Laquan McDonald when he did not pose an immediate threat of great bodily harm or death, and his subsequent actions of shooting Laquan McDonald while he lay on the ground after previously being struck by gunfire, were not justified, and they were not a proper use of deadly force by this police officer.
Alvarez defends the 13 months it took to charge Jason Van Dyke. She insisted the decision was made weeks ago and had nothing to do with the judge's order to release the video. Van Dyke was also denied bond. He was the only officer of the several who were on the scene to open fire. He has since been stripped of his police powers, reassigned to desk duty. Alvarez said Van Dyke, of course, emptied his 9mm pistol of all 16 rounds. Now, what is stunning here is that in the news conference yesterday, she also said that there was no evidence that police tampered with video of a nearby Burger King. But in May, WMAQ, Channel 5, the NBC affiliate in Chicago, reported that officers went into a nearby Burger King, pulled up their surveillance video which actually showed what took place there, and they deleted the video. 86 minutes. 86 minutes of video is missing from the nearby Burger King. According to Jay Darshane, the Burger King district manager, he said, quote, "We had no idea they were going to sit there and delete files. I mean, we were just trying to help the police officers." But Alvarez, she then says, well, there's no evidence that the video was deleted. Well, how did it get deleted then? Last night, there were peaceful demonstrations that filled Chicago streets as supporters called for calm. Chicago public radio producer and reporter Kathy Chaney has been following the case. She joins us right now. Also, Rachel Williams is here via Skype as well. She was among those working to keep the peace in the streets. She, of course, is with Black Youth Project 100. Rachel, I want to go to you first and foremost. If it wasn't for protesters like yourself, we would not be where we are right now.
Well, this is the thing. It's been 400 days. Yesterday was 400 days since Laquan's murder. Let's be honest. It is election season for Anita Alvarez. Everything in the city runs by politics, and everything in the city is a political move. And I'm going to be truthful. Last week, we were told that there was going to be a decision to come down for the removal of Dante Servin by Superintendent McCarthy. That same day that the decision was supposed to come down, the judge also made the decision to release the video. So while we were at the police review board, we watched a calculated move. And as I talked to other organizers and I made the statement that they will make that announcement to pacify the community. What happened? They made that announcement Monday night, hours ahead of the officer turning himself in, hours ahead of the charges. And that is exactly what happened, to pacify a community.
I'm going to go to Kathy Chaney right now. Kathy, I've heard that from so many different people. Alvarez said yesterday in her news conference that she would have waited another month to charge the officer. She also said it takes up to 2 years to investigate an officer involved with shooting. None of that makes any sense whatsoever.
No, but she's standing, by that statement saying investigations take time. She also addressed some of the media saying, well, you all have covered many court cases. You know how long it takes. And she just continues to stand by it. But people keep asking, why did it take you so long? You saw the video. You didn't need that long to bring forth charges. But she's standing by her statement.
I want to go to my panel here. A. Scott Bolden, partner at Reed Smith, George Jefferson Nury, CEO and founder of In the Public Eye Communications, Paris Jannard, Republican communication strategist. Scott, I don't believe Alvarez at all. To say, as she decided weeks ago, why didn't you charge him weeks ago? Why did you wait until after the judge said release the video? Then she says, well, she decided weeks ago, but if it was her choice, she would have charged him a month later. That doesn't make sense.
And where is the police officer in the interim with these delays in issuing prosecution or charges? Let me just say this. I grew up in Chicago. I'm a former prosecutor. Everything that your guests are saying and you're saying makes all the sense in the world. This was timed. This was politically driven. And the reality is that this video is so overwhelming and so compelling. Investigations may take 2 years. She also indicated that she was waiting for the feds to complete their investigation, and then she wanted to stand there with the federal prosecutor.
Why?
Well, that's a decision, a discretionary decision on her part. But again, it borders on the nonsensical, because we know the feds, who look at civil rights, criminal charges in civil rights cases, hate crimes, take longer, but it's a different standard of review. Here, either you're going to charge him with murder or not. And I can tell you right now, the police unions and the politics of Chicago, the mayor, everything is driven politically. And the only reason these charges came forth now, they may have come forth later, was because the judge decided to release this video. There's no common sense for your viewers. Does this make sense or not? And it simply doesn't. The good news is he's been charged, he's been denied bail, and the family has some solace. I think there's a $5 million civil suit that's pending. Or
No. The city settled that before the family even filed a suit.
Yeah.
Right.
So they saw that tape long before that. Long before this.
Write a check.
Stay tuned on this.
This is what I think. It was a political calculation. Laquan was assassinated 2 months after Michael Brown, and they watched what happened in Ferguson. And Rahm Emanuel, his police chief, and everyone else, the prosecutor, made a calculated guess that if we don't tell people, our city won't burn to the ground.
And of course, Rahm was in the middle of running for re-election.
And Ron was running for re-election. Sure. He could not have this happen in Chicago. So it wasn't until there was a freelance reporter who kept petitioning and kept petitioning to get this released.
FOIA request.
A FOIA request. And when this was going, when the judge insisted on it, Rahm and the boys got together and said, we got to do something about it, but we're going to say we were always going to do something about it. 400 days later, it makes absolutely no sense unless you were covering it up.
Parents, then of course you have Superintendent Gary McCarthy, who says that he is going to recommend that Dante Servin, who shot and killed Rekia Boyd 3 years ago, should be fired from his job. All of a sudden, that announcement yesterday as well.
Right. Roland, we keep saying it's a distinct pattern. You have swift action by cops, and then you have delayed reaction by the courts. Right. And in this case, like you said before, it's a political calculation. They knew this video existed. They knew the damaging effects of this video getting out. And so they said, you know what, let's get ahead of this, do something about this Rekia Boyd situation, and try to act as if we are being proactive in the slow process.
And maybe the anger will go away.
Well, I'm going to go to Rachel. Rachel, clearly you and other protesters are not going to go away because I guess Chicago folks think, okay, fine, you got it, be satisfied now.
No, I think this is the thing. Organization part of BYP 100, we literally declined the mayor because the mayor called us in to pacify us. We declined that meeting because we're only a small fraction of the black community. But at the same time, we're going to be out there. We've been out there for kids. I've been sitting alongside other kids. The decision was down. Since the decision came down that he would not actually do it.
Actually, your phone is breaking up there, so I want to get that straight. Kathy Chaney, again, I think what you have here is Alvarez and Mayor Rahm Emanuel making political calculation. They the judge orders the release of the video day before Thanksgiving. Look, school's going to be out, and so they're figuring, you know what, we're not going to have classes, folks walking out of classes. Hey, this thing will simply blow over by Monday.
Yeah, exactly. That's what they're thinking, but I think they have another thing coming. The organizers are headstrong. They're going to go steadfast, and they're not going to let this die down. I mean, they're ready at a moment's notice. And, it's one thing where, the community is saying we're really proud of them because they won't let up. They haven't let up. They've brought about change, and they're just ready. And it is a calculated move. There are people that are going for Anita Alvarez, her seat. So I really, really, really think that she should be scared about if she's going to get another term.
Have we fixed Rachel? Rachel, you there?
Yeah, I'm here.
Go right ahead.
So I've been with the family of Rekia Boyd, standing with them to fight to make sure Dante Servin is fired. We've been doing that since May, since actually April. So when we had the National Day of Action for Black Women and Black Girls who've been harmed and killed by state violence in May, was our first time. But we've been standing with that family for so long. It was a calculated move, and it was sad that her death and the decision had to be a calculated move for a city to sit there and say, like, hey, we're giving you a win, when it's not a win. None of it's a win. So we're going to be out here. We've been out here. We've been doing the work. And I need the community, the black community, those who have no voice to sit there and say, hey, there's people out here who felt like they had no voice then and that feel like they have a voice now. And we need to be a representation of that. And we're just a small section of the black community in Chicago.
All right. Rachel Williams, we certainly appreciate it. Thank you so very much. Kathy Cheney, we thank you very much as well. Scott, real quick,
Thank
20
you.
seconds.
Yeah, the issue is coordination. As a former prosecutor, I've sat in on these meetings. The decision makers convince themselves that this is best for the community, for the safety and health and the welfare, but you've got a community that's not going to be satisfied here.
Right.
Make no doubt, this was a coordinated political decision as to when these charges were brought.
All right, folks, hold tight 1 second. We come back. Our headlines, including restoring voting rights to ex-convicts in Kentucky. Also, we'll talk with activists on the ground in Oklahoma City to get an update on the Daniel Holtzclaw rape trial. And Ronnie Laws is our artist of the day. He'll be talking about his new CD, Solo. He's going to take us to break right here, News 1 Now, TV 1.